Hello, it is 3:32 p.m. It is September 30th. I believe it's Tuesday. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday afternoon, and I am happy to announce that the fourth quarter uh, newsletter is available, and you can get the link in the description box. And so the newsletter is about 47 pages, which is, pretty big for a newsletter. I think it might be anywhere from 47 to 50. But anyway, yeah, it's rather long. And so I can honestly say that for the majority of this newsletter, I really did not enjoy writing about it because I was digging up information about my mom, about her participation in the bullying of me, and it's the reason why she was participating in it, just because she wanted to challenge this issue about me being CB Braganza and in my other incarnations being somebody who supposedly gets what they want, but this is not really the correct case at all. This is a misunderstanding. What really is the case is that CB Braganza has the ability to present facts in every situation that people try to put him in. That did not mean in any way. I do not believe that CB Braganza ever got what he wanted, because if he did get what he wanted, he would have had full acknowledgement of his contributions within the religious community, as well as the inventions that he created, whatever, all of that. So that is a lie. Okay, I honest and truthfully, I find it difficult, even though I understand how group psychosis works. Um, I still have a hard time forgiving the people who did it. Like I said, because it takes a lot of negative feelings and a lot of resentment, you know, to let that happen. And, I was not aware. No one gave me any heads up or anything like that. And then they were pressing my back to the wall and expecting me to, dig myself out of it. And it literally took me a long time to figure out what was going on. But yes, I did get some intuitive messages about Egypt. And I kept thinking, okay, what exactly? Okay, I believe Egypt is where my father was. James Gordon was excavated, the King Tut's tomb thing, and apparently Egypt, I guess maybe the country or whatever, wanted me to, or jumped on the bandwagon of trying to pressure me to get married. Okay. And like I said, at the time I was married to Joel. Now, I don't know if Joel's my marriage was legal. He may have been married to his mom. There was something weird about that whole thing. Okay. But, I prefer and I have the right to keep my personal information private. And see, this is, and if it just, to make this like a worldwide issue, that right there is puts you out in your name and your reputation, everything out in public sector for you to get bullied. But obviously the church people in the church, I guess, know who I was anyway because of their smear campaigns. How all that worked out in order, like as far as um, the order of which it took place, I don't really think is important. It's just what this is another issue that blows my mind and prevents me from feeling safe and comfortable, is that somebody would be so immature to do something like that. You know what I mean? I am a very reserved person, and I take my reputation very seriously, and it's just the fact that the damage that it causes, and I do take it very seriously. So I'm very glad to be done with my newsletter and the topics that I have discussed in my newsletter. I hope that I'm going to be over with it. Now, I will say that I feel very emotional right now because for the longest time, the only thing that I had to think about was this. And I will tell you, I'm doing a lot of moping around in my house right now because I do not have an active life, okay? I'm going to tell you that I resent the Muma family for intruding upon my life and treating me in the way that they did. I resent the Collins family for involving themselves and pushing my back against the wall. I really, what devastates me more is coming to understand where my mother's point of view was and how empty what she was. And but this confirms my belief of why it's important for people to take care of themselves, because my mother, her self-hatred made it so that she lashed out on other people. Okay, and this is another reason why my sister joined in, my other sister joined in. My sisters were envious of me because they saw my independence and they were in marriages, and I wasn't in any. I never sat there and thought, well, look at you, you're in a marriage. I never thought that. I just knew that I was with Joel, okay, and then when my marriage ended after with Joel, I was like, okay, all I thought about was I knew I was in a victim of gang stalking, and I did not feel comfortable being around anybody. Because if you're in a gang stalking situation, these people are only going to be perps. So I kept to myself. And yet, this idiotic behavior of the people were still demanding or still, trying to put this issue about me being married. I was terrified of these people. All I wanted to do was be left alone. I was disturbed that somebody would be even that immature to do that. Now, I had talked about my siblings not living anymore. I do get this intuitive message that maybe my sisters are dead, like Lisa might be dead. I feel as though Lisa and people like my sister, I kind of get emotional because, I cared about my sister. I did. I cared about my sister. We grew up together. We shared a bedroom together. I loved her daughter like she was mine and everything else. Okay. But, Lisa she was always a double agent, meaning like, she probably knew that I was adopted my entire life. She knew I was adopted my entire life. Okay. And she never told me that. She always used it as that secrecy that she had was always a source of, power that she had over me. So that she would use to gossip about me, and she would use it to get, favors and sides from people. Okay. And at the same time, I do feel sorry for Lisa, and the reason why I bless her soul and wish that she transitions, if she is dead, into the afterlife, is because I understood she came from a place of deep self-hatred. Okay, deep self-hatred, and I possibly triggered her self-hatred. Why? Because everybody always thinks the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. They always think this. Okay, I will say, because I was associated with this network, these people have literally psychologically damaged me. They have drained me. They have frustrated me. They have left me in a situation where I feel like, I don't know what to think about anymore. I don't know what to do with myself anymore. Okay, it literally destroyed, demolished my mind. Okay. And yet my sister was sitting here thinking that I have everything. A lot of people think I have everything. I don't have anything. Okay. Number one, when I was working at Murray Family Farms, I was hoping that I could be a CPA. Why? Because, I wanted to have some sort of stability and some sort of, ability to move myself up forward so that I could protect myself. I was not in any way counting on anybody else. I don't know that many people. So it would be stupid for me to knowing that I do not have a family backup, knowing that I don't have anything to this, I wanted to take care of myself. So I kept thinking, throughout all these years that I have struggled, I'm finally getting myself back where I need to be. So I was working at Mary Family Farms, and I was also, doing school online. And guess what ended up happening? I ended up losing my job and then having to deal with community harassment. So not only did these people from my high school ruin my life when I was younger, they came back a second time to finish me off. And see, this is what I'm telling people, is that this sort of bullying that goes on in the schoolyard, it needs to be nipped in the bud. It needs to get nipped in the bud. This is an intuitive message that I'm getting right now about fake marriages. This whole idea of corporate marriages. Now, I touched lightly on this in the newsletter, which is in the description box. I'm going to say that again. It is, and I think it's because we all have different definitions of what marriage is. Okay, now, like I said, growing up, I studied different religions, and meaning like, I studied about Mormonism. I studied about Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, but what actually went on in the church as far as how members interacted, like, I didn't know that people, got together at church and talked about people like clones and stuff like that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that we were on hit lists at churches. I had no idea. You know what I mean? I also had no idea, like, I understood that, some religious people married, right? And I understood that they usually looked for prospective marriage mates within their congregation. Okay, I never thought that these people creeped out in the community and started forcing people into marriages and stuff like that. I had no idea. Okay, so all of this literally stunned me. Okay, and oh my gosh, I'm so disturbed right now. Okay, because I get this feeling that my sister may not be here on this earth. Okay, and my sister was a very desperate person. She was a very desperate person. Okay, she probably wanted to assimilate, make friends in the community, and she used me a lot of times so that she could get her upward mobility. Okay, meaning like if she felt that she could join in with harassing me and then like downgrading me, then she would have something to talk about with these people and she would fit in with these people. And I remember my sister going to birthday parties, throwing birthday parties, and having people that I would not even really suspect Lisa of being friends with. Okay, like decent people. Okay, uh, that would come to her birthday party. And I also noticed that my mother was becoming more and more social at that time. And my mother was a recluse for 14 years, for many years, okay, when I was growing up. So these people were gaining a reputation off of my back. That's exactly what they were doing, okay? And and because of that kind of exploitation, it is difficult for me to forgive that. And so this is, but see, like I said, all I remember is me and my sister growing up. I was very protective of my sister. Like, I know kids used to make fun of her because she was overweight a lot, right? And I was the first person to stand up for her. And I sit here and I look at all these people that I wasted my time, my energy, my affection to, and I'm just like, I cannot believe you would do something like that. I cannot believe she would do something like that. And all of it was a mindless competition. And this is why I'm talking about, when we see this sort of unprofessionalism that goes on in companies, right? These people seriously think that this sort of stuff is a game. They did not understand why it needed to be nipped in the bud right away. It is not funny. It is not something that you should play around with. And so, I know when I was working at Murray Family Farms and other companies, I would be talking about things relating to law and the reason why certain things should not be happening. And there, I know, I would get a lot of eye rolls. Oh, well, you could do it that way if you want to. Okay, there's a lot of people who have that nonchalant attitude, and this is where we get all these numbers of all this backlog of all these targeted individuals backed up into the system. And apparently, a lot of people are waking up realizing, oh shit, I'm in a marriage that I didn't consent to. Okay, and the reason why is because we have different definitions of marriage. Okay, as far as I knew, okay, I knew that the United States, according to what I remember growing up in, and then of course, I had mentioned about the freedom of religion thing. I also knew that marriage was protected by employment law. Okay, my view of marriage, I understood historically, okay, like in biblical times, that they actually had arrangements where like maybe they had, split divided property and women were a part of that and all this other stuff. Okay, I honestly had no idea that that kind of stuff was going on in this day and age. Okay, maybe it was practiced in maybe certain countries or whatever, but for an American person like Rick Collins, okay, and Terry for that matter, to look at business strictly as a business arrangement and expect me to never have, okay, not that I want to get married because I don't, okay, but what if I did? What if I wanted to get married and I believed in having a whirlwind romance and all that? What if are you going to deny me that right because you want me to be stuck in a marriage with your son? And so what exactly do I get out of it? You're expecting me to change my life, change my religion, not wear things that I want to do, not believe and express myself the way that I want to, not have any friends, but I'm serving your family. See, this is where I get very angry. This right here is like a great example of human trafficking. That right is flat out safe slavery. Flat out safe slavery is what it is. Okay, so no, I mean the whole idea of the kingdom spouse, I'm assuming comes from, and I'm not even assuming, I'm damn sure, I'm pretty sure it comes from some sort of religious ideology. Okay, and like I said, if people choose to practice that kind of religion within their lifestyle, you know what I mean? Like maybe like within their congregation, the men get together, and these women have grown up in this church for the longest time. They at some point expect to be, reached in, like the guy's going to be reaching in and grabbing them up for wives. They should expect that if this is what they were, the religion that they were raised in. They're familiar with that sort of stuff. And I would think that these people are at the age of consent where they could agree to that. Okay, and if not, well, they may have to leave or whatever. That's their choice, that's their religion, that's how they practice it, but I do not. Okay, so this issue also happened in C.B. Berganza's last life, and now I'm going to say C.B. Berganza, I'm going to say pretty much all his incarnations. Okay, people were harping on him because he did not want to get married to people who were financially abusing him. So I would say that C.B. Berganza has dealt with irrational bullying and people placing unreasonable demands on him. And what I find extremely shocking, okay, is that these religions are supposed to look at this person, me, right, as the savior. Okay, so why would you feel as though I, as a savior, I'm supposed to sit here and conform to what you say? Okay, no, and no, this is not me trying to be like, arrogant or anything by any means. I'm just saying is, why do these people feel as though that they could custom make a savior? You know what I mean? Because a lot of it has to do with their own personal desires. And unfortunately, I'm just letting you know that's not, if I'm here to bring about the new world order, I'm doing so in truth, okay? I can't sit here and sugarcoat stuff or pretend something that I'm not, okay? And also, I do not believe, like I said, I do not believe that the Savior died for people's sins. I believe the sins killed the Savior. Okay, so there's a lot of, I really do believe that. I believe that there's a lot of misconceptions that go on in certain religions, and they want to see it or put their spin on it because it makes them feel comfortable. Okay, and that's all there is to that. So yeah, I understand now that I guess there's people who have questions. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the issues of luxuries. Okay, uh, apparently people felt as though CB Berganza. This is so wrong. I mean, when I think about how these people treated CB Berganza throughout the years, throughout all his incarnations and all the contributions he had, this man contributed so much to religions in general. Okay, and these people have done nothing but mistreated me. I'm throughout all my lives in my incarnations, and all of it has to do in stemming from their jealousy. So when I think about people who say, "Oh, we're Christian and everything else," I don't see most people displaying Christ-like behavior. I really, really don't. Okay, so I do know that I was expected to, while I was in this network, to literally, reduce the quality of my life to fit this family, what do you call it? Family business thing or whatever. I will tell you, this issue is the biggest trauma tragedy and the biggest, yeah, it's trauma inducing. I feel as though the whole issue is trauma inducing. You know what I mean? And I do get the intuitive message that my sister Lisa is most likely not here because I feel as though she got in way over her head. Possibly, maybe Tanya died too. Maybe Rashawn did. I don't know. Okay, but I felt I do feel conflicted when it comes to my sister Lisa because I know she was a very desperate person, and I know she was. Okay, she was a very desperate person, and unfortunately, most people do not grow up with a lot of good self-esteem or any positive uh, reference points, and I don't believe my mother with her jealous tendencies would actually supported that. I think my mother failed to be a good role model for her children. But then again, I have to think under those circumstances, what can you expect? I did write a little bit of information about each of my siblings and how I'm saying goodbye to all of them, because I feel as though it was important for me to release that because it is extremely, because even though I what it is you become hurt. I'm hurt, okay, that I would have never done anything like that to these people in a million years, to conspire against my family that way, to like literally throw their name out to where they're damaged their reputation. And what's even worse is that it destroyed my career plans. Now when I was working at Murray Family Farms, I will tell you, I had a great career plan mapped up for me. I was doing school online, and I figure, okay, I had already had um, I started working in accounting in 1997, and I'm not going to be a CPA now. I mean, they ruined too much for me. But I started working in accounting in 1997, and when I worked at Murray Family Farms, I was working in accounting for a little over 10 years at that time. Okay, so I already had my foot in the door. All I needed to do was have my own network, stop being stuck in this shitty network. But see, this network looked at me as being on punishment. Like I was supposed to be punished because I didn't marry Bruce. So I had to sit here and uh, get wrapped up in their network. Okay. Meanwhile, I did not get to finish going to school. Okay, which meant that these people ruined me twice. Okay, but my plan was flawless because I already had 10 years of accounting. And, like, let's just say, for example, I was working at Murray Family Farms and I would have had a decent relationship with the CPA there. Let's just say I did, okay? Now, I'm pretty sure that Wayne Long was highly influenced by, this ridiculous mob. But let's just say, for example, I went to Wayne, because I know that working for Murray Family Farms, I would prepare this stuff to bring to the CPA. Okay. So that was a part of my plan. I understand how to take advantage and use these resources. So I kept thinking, okay, well, if I could, get together and talk to these people, maybe he would let me work for his company. Or maybe, once I take the CPA exam, he could sit here and vouch for me because he already knows that I prepare his stuff for him, right? I was looking for accelerated methods that were completely valid, okay? I could have had my fucking dream, okay? And so now I'm getting mad. Okay, wait. I'm sorry. I felt myself getting like really like boiling angry, okay? But anyway, these people were diverting my attention, playing games, stalking me, creating all kinds of drama and nightmare while they were throwing it in my face. Oh, you don't have a bachelor's degree. You don't have a this. You don't have a that. So guess what? These people ruined my life. These people ruined my life. My plan of being a certified public accountant was not that far away. I already had 10 years of working in accounting. Not only that, I was doing multiple books. Okay, like meaning like working for companies where I'm doing multiple books. Now, some people will say, oh, that's not that impressive. You know what? But that's still a highly more advanced than somebody who just went to college and came out. See, I was going to college and actually working for 10 years. Okay, so that meant that I was just like, I could have had my shit together. That was like the best method. I had a wonderful plan and they ruined. Okay, wait. Okay, I'm getting upset. Okay, and they ruined it. They ruined it. Okay. So now, I'm picking up where I left off and trying to, pick my brain back together. My brain is scattered. Okay. But see, I had already planned, and see, I never really talked to my family about, my goals and stuff like that. And it wasn't because I thought that they were going to sabotage it. It's just that Lisa was over there, and I honestly don't believe that. I want to keep my life compartmentalized. I'm going to be honest. I got to keep my life compartmentalized. I think it makes it easier. You know why? Because I want to have if I was going to have a family, which I loved my family, this is the reason why it hurts so goddamn much, okay? I would prefer to keep my family out of my work stuff. You know why? Because when shit goes down at work, I want to be able to have comfort from my family. If there's problems with my family, I want to get comfort at work. Meaning, I don't expect the people to give me comfort. I want to go ahead and throw myself into my job and not have to sit here and worry about the argument that I had, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But this was work and family, people monitoring my life, telling me how to live my life unexpectedly, and like almost out of the blue to me. Okay? It was entirely too painful. It was too painful. Okay? Entirely too painful. And then they got other people on board and all this other stuff. So hopefully, I hope that people understand now why it's important to curb your desire to gossip about other people online. Okay, it is very important, and I understand that people were influenced. They created all kinds of stuff and problems for me, and it's been a lot. So anyway, I did write out my newsletter, and I really don't know what to focus my attention on anymore. Okay, there's times where my brain feels like it's going to slip, meaning like I don't know what to do to entertain myself. Okay, I don't find anything really outside of myself, interesting. These people just cause me too much pain. But anyway, it is a milestone for me because I have been writing the newsletter for 2 years, which I'm very proud of. That's like I'm so proud of myself. That's 2 years of the Swan Song Manifesto. Next year will be 2026 volume 3. So I'm very, very happy about that. So anyway, and I also want to talk about, the celebrities. Now, when I realized all of this was going on, I had talked about my issues with the celebrities. And I know that these people, okay, my family hated me. Okay, they must have hated me. Okay, and like I said, I don't know exactly. I think it's because, yeah, the CB Berganza, and them feeling as though I wasn't like them and everything else. Okay, instead of them just being adults and going on with their own life and focusing on their stuff, they have to sit here and focus on me. So I felt as though they probably, talked to the celebrities and created problems with them or whatever. But when I realized everybody was like in this big like cabal thing against me, I was like, I was like upset, because it's like, I don't, I never did anything to these celebrities. So what exactly did they have anything against me? Apparently it was religion. Okay, it was religion, something about my hair. But see, this is what I didn't understand about the celebrities, because celebrities wear this sort of stuff on stage. Okay, this is how they make their living. They're glamorous. Some of these people are glamorous as a part of their career. Like I've seen like a lot of black and white women as well, like singers and stuff, like wearing hair extensions on stage. Ooh, I got a breeze. Ooh, weird. Okay, wearing hair extensions on stage. They wear makeup. They wear clothes. Some of these people, I had mentioned that I have a connection with Stella McCartney on my Instagram, I believe, and yet people like her, and I'm not. I would never want anybody. I would never want Stella McCartney to have to go through what I went through. But I'm just saying is, why is it okay for Stella McCartney to design clothes, but it's wrong for me to wear clothes? Okay, so these people had selective things because they were trying to punish me for stuff that they really had no reason to punish me for. Also, they brought other religions in it. Now, this particular group originally started off as Christian, even though we know that there was a bunch of Christian denominations involved in it. They just didn't enjoy bullying me enough. They had to sit here and grab everyone else into it too. Let's bring the Jews, let's bring the Islamic people, throw in a couple of Hindus and stuff just for good measure. They just wanted to stir up problems for me. But what they probably didn't understand is that a lot of these, like for example, Eastern religions, were probably well aware of what I did anyway, okay, because it's normal to them. So anyway, it's been a nightmare. It has been a nightmare for centuries and centuries and centuries. I am telling you right now, I am very glad to be a child of the divine, okay? And it is the divine that should decide who and what gets punishment. And it is because the cloning operation is a man-made operation, okay? And so the cloning operations generally attract people like the Mumas and people like the Collins, who understand that I'm a vulnerable person and they want to take advantage of that. That's what it was, okay? Because, like I said, my family, what do they care? They were hoping that they can get some money off of me, okay? They didn't care that I was terrified, that I was losing my dreams. All they cared about is they wanted me to make money for them. I didn't mean shit to them, okay? So this is why I was saying that I needed my protection. And really, uh, I was in a vulnerable position. And it's not the cloning. The cloning operation, of course, is going to use religion as a way of ostracizing somebody. Okay, telling people that you're like like a spawn of the devil or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's enough to get people to not talk to you. Okay, and what that does is allows traffickers to take advantage of people, put them in vulnerable positions so that no one's going to help them, so that they can do things, put them in systems of abuse. Okay, do you understand when I was in the height of my targeting, somebody could have killed me, hid my body, and gotten away with it completely? Why? Because it was a covert nature of the program. This is one of the reasons why I really resent the covert nature of the program. And I'm sure, if you were to ask the Mumas and the Collins and the Gordons, oh, that's not true, you weren't trying to do that, then why would you be taking my money? Surely you were hoping to, how could you do something like that? And then they didn't expect me to ever see them again. They must not have. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, that disturbs me. Okay. But yes, there's definitely a definition of marriage that people are not on the same page with. You know what I mean? And yes, I do understand that, marriage often does well, often it's supposed to be, a relationship between two people, and they have their shared finances and whatever. The business arrangement, I feel, I feel like it's like a form of psychological rape, okay? And what makes me sad about my sister is my sister really did not have any other way of taking care of herself. She was somebody who pretty much relied on scams, okay? She pretty much relied on scams, and that's so heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for me to say this, because I know she was married to Jeff, and she got pregnant with Jeff's baby, and it looks like she continually had babies just so that he could stay married to her. And I know a lot of women do that, okay? But underneath it all, she didn't know any other tactic. She didn't know any other coping mechanism because my mom was the only, what do you call it, uh, role model or whatever for my sister, and my mom used my dad so that they could take care of themselves. So um, it is just very heartbreaking for me. It is very heartbreaking to have to sit here and remember the whole story and then find out that people were sitting here calling me a prostitute and everything else. I'm like, how dare you? How dare you? I have done everything I could so that I could always say that no one could ever say that I ever asked for a handout. Everything I've tried to do in my life, I have always done so independently. And for somebody to stoop so low to sit here and try to put that title on me, that is something I cannot put up with. I cannot. I cannot. You know, I have been a righteous person. I will say, I did give birth to Houston. I gave birth to, I had a child out of wedlock. Okay, I had a child out of wedlock. And I, did my best to make sure that I supported my child. Okay, I never wanted to sit here and rely on welfare or do anything else. I have done nothing but be righteous in this entire thing. And see, that's another thing that bothers me because here we have Bruce, right? Bruce, after I had Houston, Bruce came to see him. You know, the first time I had him, he didn't see him like when he came out of the hospital, but he came a few days later. And I know, I don't know. I remember Bruce and I would talk a little bit after Houston was born. After he was born, and I knew that he was seeing somebody else. So Bruce went on with his life. Okay, he went on with his life, and I understand what Bruce was interested in. He was interested in being in a relationship or marriage or whatever, strictly for business purposes. Okay, I do not. Someone like me, especially someone like me, a genius level person, should never sit here and want to rely on marriage because I'm opening myself up to abuse. I would be opening up myself to an abuse. Even in a situation where, let's just say, for example, I was at the grocery store and I met a guy randomly. Okay. I have a kind of personality because I'm smarter than most people. And I know this is not me bragging. Okay. People would become like in a living situation. My husband, we slowly but surely start becoming competitive with me. Okay. I understand how the human mind works. Okay. People like me are better off just being loners for the most part. Okay. And if when they do socialize, be very careful about how we socialize. Okay. This is one of the reasons why I'm talking about if they're talking about bringing back clones, if they're trying to bring back higher level quality people with higher level intelligence, you need to bring back more people and so that they can have their own community. Because really, I mean, when it comes to socializing, when you're extremely intelligent and you have foresight, it really isn't that pleasant. It really isn't that pleasant because I see too many things that go wrong, which is good. Like, this is one of the reasons why people are like, oh, yeah, she should get into politics and stuff like that. Okay. Whatever. Anyway, apparently there's press conferences going on about me, and people are really amazed that uh, I've talked about what constitutes a marriage. And I guess those are a lot of people who are talking about, them being in these fake marriages. I don't know if it was, like, for example, I know when the Collins family and my sister was putting a lot of pressure on me, at Murray Family Farms and all these other places. I think that a lot of maybe white nationalist men who were talking, who may have seen this issue, maybe, what do you call it? Rick was a part of it, and he wanted to initiate this sort of stuff. Okay, that is the reason why. Ooh, I'm hearing Sodi, but that is what it is. It is basically, I believe, because this particular issue with me was on social media. This is one of the reasons why I hear YouTube readers talking, tarot readers talking about me. These people put this issue out in public sector. So everybody knew about it. So when I was encountering people, people knew about me, them trying to force me into marriage. Then they knew about me, them trying to change my hair. They knew about this rumor about me being Bruce's wife and then being Joel's wife and then saying that I was between. They knew all about that, but I didn't. So I'm sitting here, going to work and then having like people coming into my office staring at me. I would get, vendors coming in staring at me. And really, that is really uncomfortable. It's like I have the right to work in peace. But because I was dealing with a network that looked upon giving a people jobs or assisting people in jobs to give them a punishment. I guess, they didn't really care about my comfort. Okay. This is why I was dealing with a major harassment issue, and a lot of it has to do with my hair. And to me, I cannot forgive that. How dare you sit here and have people monitor me so I can be a wife to somebody I don't care about? Okay, something about me being a philosopher and the way that I dress. What I usually wear for my professional attire is standard attire. Like I wear slacks, you know what I mean? Or during, jeans. I wear jeans, I do wear jeans. But when it comes to work, in an office, I usually wear like a nicer type of shoe. Not like an expensive shoe, but I either wear like maybe a small pump, some nice boots or something. I don't go overboard, but I would say that that's the standard kind of office attire that I wear. Okay. But anyway, I'm just I'm a little upset. I'm a little shaken. Okay, I get very emotional when I think of that situation of somebody trying to put that kind of pressure on me, especially not even letting me know about it. And I honestly do think that they sat there and sabotaged my relationship with Joel so that I could sit here and go back to Bruce. Maybe. But then I keep thinking, how does that make sense? Because, man, maybe people are going to have to fill in the blanks for me. I don't want to sit here and do readings on this. But at the time when I was at Murray Family Farms, I started in 2009. So Bruce was married to Sarah for at least 3 years, 2 or 3 years, okay? Because I think it was 2006 or 2007 when when he ended up getting married. So in 2009, if Bruce set me up for that job, it must have been done with the intent of harassing me, and then having Sarah have her digs at me or something. Because I can honestly tell you that was all set up, and it anyway. What else do I want to talk about? I think that's really it. I am the sole owner of my work now, and I'm glad. I find that very shocking for today's day and age. And it's not like I wanted to make this a big women's lib issue or anything like that, because I'm really not into that or anything. But I'm angry because it's something I will obviously need to have my own projects, especially since they manipulated my employment. It's been a nightmare. It has been a nightmare. It has been an absolute fucking nightmare. And anyway, a lot of people like the human targets. I'm so glad. And many people, men and women alike, see the benefits of the employment law to protect the marital status, which, like I said, these have been on the books for a long time. See, and this is what I was trying to say. I cannot believe, after me screaming at the top of my lungs, making videos for over 10 years, okay, having all these people watch it and still trying to force the issue. And the fact that they stole from me while I was saying all this, I cannot tell you that is so beyond devastating. It was because of my ideas. Okay, so basically, these people knew good and well, and I was never expecting any emotional affection from these people. I never did. Okay, but obviously they are admitting that they have no interest in me as a person. They're only interested in my work. Okay, so in that sense, why in the world would I want to be around somebody who would abuse me like that? That's absurd. Now, to me, marriage and business partnerships are completely different. And I choose to be at the helm of both of them. Okay? So, if I was to get married, which I'm not, I'm going to let people know right now, I don't think about marriage. I don't think about love. I don't think about any of that stuff. Okay? I really don't. I wish people would just stop bothering me about it or trying, I hate that kind of stuff. It's like I have to survive. I've been my goals of trying to protect myself for the last decade or so has been thwarted by foolishness and putting me in situations where I feel as though my life is threatened. Okay, so I don't think about those sort of things. I seriously think about how is it that my son can be stable, and I am not going to end up wasting my son's life. Okay, I am very angry about these people putting me in this situation. Very angry. Okay. So anyway, and don't get me wrong, my son is willing. I am willing to stay with my son for however long he can stay with. We can live together forever, but it's got to be his choice. And I don't appreciate people putting us into this. Like, it hurts me because I believe every generation should improve themselves, and you didn't give me that option. You didn't give me that option. It burns me up. It really burns me up. Something about my garden, and then other people are saying something about they don't want to be married. A lot of people do not want to be married. I don't know. I cannot fix your problems. I mean, I can't. But I basically stated that, I do understand that a lot of people are fixated on this issue of corporate marriages. So it would not surprise me. Like I said, Rick Collins may have joined forces with other men in different locations, and who have been doing these operations for a very long time. Okay, he's probably a part of a big network, part of that trafficking network that I was talking about. Okay, and it's a nightmare because this man comes from a tradition where he believes in this sort of marriage, where other people, it takes them by surprise, because as far as they know, most people, when they think about marriage, they think about, okay, there's a time in your life where you either stumble upon somebody that you're interested in, you court, you date, you get to know this person, and then you settle down and you get married. You have some children, and you guys work together and whatever, and you might go into business together, or you might work in two different locations and two different companies, and you come home and you take care of your family and you pay your bills and you deal with your finances. That was what I believed marriage was. Okay, that's what I believed marriage was. I never believed that somebody was just going to come up from behind me, and then force me to fucking provide for them financially. Okay, that sounds like slavery to me. Okay, and that's exactly what it is. Okay, and yeah, I'm pissed off about it. Okay, the intuitive message I'm getting right now, it is anonymous. Everyone loves the New World Order better, and thank you. Also, I'm getting this message about what I've described about, and people know what I've worn to work before. They know what I wore to work. Um, I uh, I had talked about in the Human Targets video about how a lot of times we have, vendors that come in who are basically being trafficking or targeting or spying, stalking, I guess, for the perpetrator. And I know I've dealt with that situation a lot. Like at my last job when I was working at, what is the name of that place? Laverne and Son. We had somebody from Johnstone Supply coming in, and I personally feel as though that she came just to sit here and spy. I did not appreciate that. Okay, and I would keep my conversation. This is why people kept thinking, oh, you're standoffish. No, I knew why they were there, and I didn't want to mess with it. I felt as though it was disrespectful, and I immediately didn't want to have anything to do with them. I hated them, right? Because I knew what they were doing was violating me, and I didn't respect it. I thought that they were unprofessional. I wish they would get the hell away from me. The intuitive message I'm getting right now at this moment is that a lot of people don't want to get married, including people in government. And I think that what they're talking about is they do not want to be a part of these corporate marriages. No one does. Okay, no one does. You could have a corporate spouse that you don't even know about. Can you imagine? And maybe the intention of that corporate spouse is to keep you at that job. And if they're with another person, like maybe they're in an actual marriage where they actually live in the same home. So if they end up leaving that person, they can always count on you. Meanwhile, your life is being held out just in case they need you. Just in case, you're supposed to sit here and catch them. You are basically holding off your life so that you can be of assistance to your corporate spouse. Fuck that. Nobody wants that. You know what I mean? Nobody wants that. So yeah, I mean, I was caught off guard, and it bothers me. And when I think about, how close I could have been, it could have been like a hop, skip, and a jump, seriously, to be a CPA. And the reason why is because they were like using excuses. Oh, first of all, the whole marijuana is legal. Okay, and whether it was or not, they were like, for example, ponytails and hair extensions are legal, right? But they were still, it's a matter of how they see things based on religion. You're trying to force me to, adhere to your religious view and punish me for your religious view. I mean, boy, you can tell I'm upset. You can just tell I'm very upset right now because I had to sit here and review all of the nightmare and think about stuff and do readings and get the confirmation that somebody did indeed steal from me, and these people were expecting me to sit there and devote my life to a marriage. Like I said, fuck you a million times over. Okay, I'm so upset right now. Okay, so anyway, okay, yeah, they want to know about stuff about me, like for example my garden. like I said, most people do have a garden. Like I've seen some gardens in this community. Like when I was walking up the street, some of these people got their little gardens all cute and stuff, and they got garden ornaments and stuff like that. It's just that, first of all, if I was punished, think about this. Why didn't they just come out and tell me I was punished? Okay. To be disciplined, okay, means that you were trying to do something to correct somebody's action. Okay. So the only effective method would to be is to come up to a person and confront that person with like, okay, I personally think that you shouldn't do this, this, and this, and this. Okay. And then I would have been like, okay, why? I would have nipped that shit in the bud right then and there. And they knew good and well that I would too, because after all, I'm somebody who knows how to, talk my way out of stuff. Okay. But I certainly am somebody who never gets what they want. Okay, these people are nothing but nightmares to me. And this Christian group, and like I said, when I talk about Christianity, I don't want to make it seem like I don't like God or I don't like this. It's nothing about this. It's just that we know that these people use this as an excuse, and they owe me so much. They owe me so much. Okay, and a lot of these people have left the earth. Okay, and it pisses me off because it's like, all that work, I mean, I was somebody, okay, what makes my method of being a CPA so outstanding is the fact that, I had experienced difficulties when I was going to school. So this method would have been something to really talk to people about, like, this could work. This could totally work for people, especially older people who, maybe, missed out on opportunities and wanted to get back into the workforce. This was a great method to do that. You know what I mean? And it's like somebody out of the blue had no right to do this, created this problem for me. And yeah, of course I hate them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, I have errands to run, okay? So I am going to, like I said, the information, the newsletter is in the description box, okay? And I will be updating my other website pages tomorrow, including my my newsletter, and I hope that you guys enjoy it this time, and I hope that my going forward in the future that I will have more activity on my newsletter. I feel as though I'm very angry that these people that prevented me from having any interaction. I resent the fact that people were trying to reserve me for marriage. Okay, I am not married to anybody. The intuitive message I'm getting right now is that I have a lot of things. I don't have a lot of things, and I don't know why that's important, why that's coming up. Something about, okay, yeah, I do keep my house very well colorful. And see that, I'm so surprised, okay? Whatever religious view that you have is probably very specific to your church. Like maybe your church doesn't believe in, they might believe in scarcity. Maybe some churches believe in scarcity. They believe in that sort of stuff, okay? I don't. Okay, I don't believe in that. Okay, now don't get me wrong. I don't believe in being so materialistic to where it causes problems. There are some people who are so materialistic that it gets to the point where they're willing to do desperate things for it, like my sister Lisa. Okay, but I feel as though if it's well within your budget, you're supposed to beautify your home. I personally feel like you're supposed to. I believe in beautifying. Okay, and it is what it is. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. Yes, my newsletter is in the description box. I'm glad I'm done writing about it. I've got a lot of things I got to take care of, and I do want to, I need to start looking for work and figuring out what I'm going to do on that issue. I don't know if I'm going to primarily look outside of Bakersfield for that or whatever. I'm just telling you, the remaining group of this network, please do not ever affect my life again. Do not ever bother me again. Okay, I mean, like, I don't want any more problems with your crap. I do not want any interceptions. I don't want to deal with any of your any perps. Nothing. Okay, I think you had no right to punish me because I am an upstanding person. And we have the press conference, people talking about my stuff. Like I said, if they thought that you have too many things, I would have slammed the door in their face. You know why? Because I've never signed up for a church. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly, everything that these people were doing was based on religion. It was based on religion, okay? And I'm very proud of the way that my home looks. It's comfortable for me. It's bright. It's comfortable, and it's soothing for me, okay? And I've made the right decisions, okay? I believe in my life philosophy 100%. And apparently, many people have in the past because they've always incorporated my spiritual ideas into their church belief systems, okay? So I'm always onto something, okay? Anyway, oh. Yeah, when it comes to gardens and stuff like that, all gardens are enchanted, okay? I mean, they all have a form of energy. All plants have energy. Apples, trees, birds, grass, marijuana has energy. I mean, everything. We are earth-based people. I'm an earth-based person, meaning like, I utilize things like color. I think there's some sort of significance in birds. I see, this is who I am. Okay. It's who I am, you know. So gardens, I see gardens in front of schools. I see them in front of buildings. I see them in front of everything. My intention was not to sit here and attract spirits. Like I said, spirits are attracted to me because I'm the savior. Okay. That's it. So I'm going to wrap up this video. Do not forget to get the newsletter in the description box. And I'm hoping to hear from more people in the future. Wrapping this one up. Take care. Bye-bye.